Anyways, JD's and Lenelman.
JD's and Lenelman.
Welcome.
Part 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, great pull.
Yes, part 2. I always say that. So where was I the other day? I have a test for my business ethics class, and I just had our second test of the semester. And what I do is I'll go through the study guide our professor gives us. It's like an hour long, and he's like, these are the ideas that you need to know. So what I'll do is I'll write down the ideas that he tells us to know, and then the page in my study guide. And so it's like, hey, the four main pillars of business ethics is on page 147. You need to know that. And then that way, when I come to the question on the test, that's like, what are the four pillars of ethics? I just go to page 147. And so, or I'll like control F pillars, you see where it says. And so because it was the second test, I was making at that point, my second study guide review sheet page reference thing. And so I wrote, business ethics exam 2, Electric Boogaloo. And I was like, I love it. And anytime we have a part 2, I always say like
part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Part 2, like it's dodgeball, isn't it?
No, it's this weird.
It's Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, it's like a breakdance movie.
Yeah.
Looks like some weird 70s thing.
84. Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about today? We are talking about a number of things. So it is November 7th. I believe I will be releasing this episode next week. The last episode we recorded was also ended about 3 minutes ago.
Because
I deleted the files.
No, did you delete the
files? Oh, I overwrote the files with the Father Joachim homily, which isn't the worst thing I could have, replaced the files with, but it's a shame. Okay, anyway, I think I did delete the files because I think I formatted the card in order to make space, but I digress. Anyways, what are we talking about today? We will be talking about consistent prayer, the importance of consistent prayer, why it matters, all that kind of stuff. And then we're not going to talk about desolation. Desolation is a far more spiritually advanced topic. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Go ask your priest about it for now. If you're going through spiritual desolation, that is a legitimate problem that you should deal with as soon as possible with your spiritual director. If you don't have a spiritual director, you should get one of those. Father Mike Schmitz has a great video about how to get a spiritual director that basically comes down to walk up to a priest that you know and like and say, can you be my spiritual director? And if he says no, you go find another priest. And you keep doing it until someone says yes. Until a priest says yes. Anyway, if you're going through desolation, wow, I feel bad for you, legitimately. But every now and then, maybe you're feeling spiritually burnt out, or just like you're doing a little too much, a little too, spiritually dry, spiritually empty. A lot of buzzwords we can throw in here for not feeling the fire of the Holy Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let's get started with the first thing of consistent prayer. John.
Yeah.
John. How much time a day do you think you pray? We're going to virtue signal a little bit here. You're better than everyone who's listening right now.
They're definitely not.
Legitimately, about how much time a day, average, maybe not average of like 17 and a half minutes, but like on a general day where you're praying, how much time?
Counting daily mass?
Yeah, mass is prayer.
45 minutes to an hour would be my estimate. I would always like it. We can always get those numbers up.
Yeah.
But I would say realistically, 45 minutes, 35 minutes on a bad day, 45 minutes to an hour.
Where do the bad days just daily mass?
Pretty much just daily mass.
Yeah, daily mass is low-key kind of like a life hack for prayer.
Especially at college. At college is a great time. If you have the opportunity in high school or college, it's great when you have that opportunity available to you. For me, it's really, and we'll get into this some, I'm pretty sure, it's really an anchor for my spiritual life.
That was, for me, in high school, my junior and senior year of high school, was I would pray a rosary to school on the bus ride or on the car drive, because it was like a 15-minute drive from my house to it was like a 15-minute drive from my house to the high school. So I'd turn on I'd open up Hallow I'd turn on Rosary with Mark Wahlberg and turn it on 1.1 times speed, so I can.
He already prays pretty fast.
I think that he doesn't pray as fast as I do. I pray like ridiculously fast. Not in the sense that like I'm not recognizing what I'm saying, but like even when we're saying the creed with everyone, I find that I'm like finishing phrases and waiting for other people to catch up. And I don't know why. I don't know where I picked that up.
I am speed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because my pastor at home just speed runs mass and it's great. Because we'll be out of like, oh yeah, 7:30 a.m. Sunday morning mass. How does 22 minutes sound? It's like, oh, okay, that's with a 5-minute homily. Wow, and distribution of communion to 200 people. Wow. Okay. Father Speedy is what my dad and I will jokingly refer to him as every now and then. Great guy, love him a lot. Anyway, I also find that I can't listen to myself at faster than 1.25 times speed. There's some people that'll listen to it like 2 times speed. I'm like Ben Shapiro out here, dude. Like I can't. I'm too fast. You know?
I can't say I've noticed listening.
Anyways, so I would listen at 1.1 times speed in order to make it on time by the time I made it to school.
Yeah.
And then when I was still riding the bus, I would just I'd pray my rosary and then I don't know, like watch YouTube. I didn't even have a phone at that point, so I'd pray my rosary and then
stare out the window.
Stare out the window was pretty cool.
Man, I miss those bus rides. You that are in high school still riding the bus, and I miss those.
Dude, enjoy your time in high school, please. I miss high school really bad.
Not that college isn't good, but it's
yeah, no, college definitely sucks. say what you want, dude. College sucks. But anyway, yeah. So I would in high school, it was great. So I'd get to pray a rosary every morning on my way to school. And then you have yours. I used to be strapped every day. In my right pocket was my phone, my car keys, which at that point was literally just the like dongle for my car, or dongle. What do you call it? My key fob, just my key fob for my car. And that was when I was driving to school. So when I wasn't driving to school, my right pocket was my phone, a 4-colored pen, and a pencil. And those were the only writing utensils I carried with me. So if anyone asked me, do you have an extra? I could say no, because someone stole all of my pens my sophomore year. But it was my phone, a pen, and a pencil. And then my left pocket was my wallet and my rosary. I was constantly strapped. Even though I would say my rosary at the start of the day, I would then keep it on me for the rest of the day, just in case, two rosaries in a day isn't a bad thing. Three rosaries in a day.
I'm always carrying a rosary around, just in case someone says, "Yo, can we pray a rosary?" Strapped, ready.
I'm always carrying a rosary with me too.
Yeah, 10 fingers.
My 10 fingers. I guess I have 2, don't I? I have 10 toes too. We out here praying a rosary with your toes.
With your toes. You got to count the decades. Decades with your toes.
Okay, sure. The 10 decades of the rosary. But yeah, so then by the time I would make it to school, we would have mass before school. So I would pray a rosary and then go to mass. And then because I went to Catholic school, there would be prayer before lunch and prayer before classes, and it was really dope. It was really cool. I got a lot of that. Just a lot of prayer. My school did a pretty good job, especially with my campus minister during high school. He did a very good job at like cultivating a sense of prayer in high school. And so that was great. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that. And then I get to college. And it's like, whoa. So we'll give you daily mass every day. Now, to be fair, my freshman year, daily mass was not particularly something I wanted to attend due to my own personal preferences with the way mass was being said. So it's just kind of showing up because I felt like I had to, not out of a genuine desire, but out of a feeling of like
obligation. Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, my class is done at 4:20. Mass starts at 5:05. I'm not doing anything better. May as well go to mass. Like a Jesus vending machine is what one of my friends called it. He was like, yeah, you show up, you swipe your card where your card is attendance, and then you get Jesus. It's like, actually, yeah, that's pretty cool. I do. So that's how I treated it. And it could definitely feel like a spiritual fall off happening my freshman year. But then sophomore year, I came back and I was like, I gotta fix this, And so we started doing Liturgy of the Hours a lot more. Liturgy of the Hours is awesome. Night prayer was a pretty constant thing around here. Still haven't gotten back into praying the rosary every day.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Personally, and you know what? Should I? Yes.
Well, there's,
Um,
and this is something I know that one of the priests here will say always, like it is okay if the way that someone else prays is not the way that you pray.
Yeah.
The rosary is a beautiful prayer. Many popes have talked about it, many popes have written about it, many people talk about it as great, led to their conversion or stuff, but that doesn't mean it's the prayer for everyone.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the things that all the great spiritual writers, for example, Saint Teresa of Avila, there was one nun who was like, man, I don't feel like I pray like anyone else does, and I don't feel like I'm good enough. And she says, we'll just pray the Our Father. And she starts praying the Our Father, and while she's praying, she starts like levitating and like glowing. And it's like the moral of the story being,
average Catholic moment.
yeah, the moral of the story being like praying is not supposed to be like, I have to be this certain way. The prayer that is good is the prayer that is done. Like do the prayer. Done as in not finished. Like,
the best prayer is the one that you will say.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so what I started doing too was like going out of my way to. We have a chapel on campus, which is great. So go out of my way to start my day in that chapel on campus.
Yeah.
And it sort of aligns you. And so that was something that I definitely had in high school, was like started my day with rosary and mass. And that like I woke up at 6:00. By 6:30, or actually by 6:45, I was praying a rosary, and by 7:00 I was at mass. So like not even an hour after I was awake, and I was doing both of my prayers, like both of my major prayers for the day. So it was great. And then you get to college, and things life happens, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes you run into things that like, hey, I really don't feel like going to mass right now, or something like that, right? And lots of different things can happen that make you want to do a certain prayer, or make you want to not do a certain prayer, or lots of different things. But the importance is prayer. And there's a line from St. Thomas Aquinas where he's talking about our duties as Catholics. And St. Thomas Aquinas writes, and I mentioned this back in like episode 3 or something like that. So this is a callback to years ago. St. Thomas Aquinas says that you need to spend 15 minutes a day in prayer, minimum, out of justice for what you owe to God, of thanksgiving, and of petition too, where you sit there and your helplessness relies on God for help with these things, whether that be discerning your vocation, or maybe like help on a test that you need, or other things that you are helpless with.
4 types of prayer. Acts. Adoration.
Acts.
Contrition.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes of prayer spent in a type of prayer. Adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication.
Break them down.
Yeah.
Break it down, John.
Okay, so we'll just do a quick aside on prayer here. Adoration, adoring God. Classic one is like Eucharistic adoration, being before God, praising him, worshiping him for his goodness, for acknowledging God as who he is. Contrition, when we've sinned, we obviously want to say, ask forgiveness for our sins. I was actually reading today as I've mentioned before, I'm a philosophy major. There's something I was reading in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics that he was talking about, like someone who isn't sorry for what they've done, basically can't grow. Like there's an issue actually about that. And so one of the things is contrition, telling God you're sorry for your sin or for your imperfection, and asking then for help as well. Asking God to help you to become greater, for grace in your struggles, for help and assistance in your struggles. Thanksgiving, offering God, thanking him for everything he's given. There's a lot of things. There's a classic, people talk about this, like write down things that you're thankful for. There's so many things we just don't recognize, these gifts that God has given to us. And if we were to spend, I think, more time in Thanksgiving, we would be a lot less envious. We would be a lot less upset with God, because we recognize the goodness that he's given us. So Thanksgiving is recognizing the good things that God has done for us, thanking him for them, but then ultimately also recognizing their place in our life. Like it's not like, oh, thanks God, finally I got the thing that I wanted, now I love this thing more than you. It's like, no, I love this thing, thank you for giving it for me, but ultimately I love this thing because I love you. There was something someone told me about Thanksgiving once that I've always loved, that is like, if you get a gift, a great thing to do is use the gift. Like if you're given a blender, use the blender. Using the thing that has been given to you is a form of thanksgiving as well. And this is also true with God. If God gives you gifts, use your gifts. That is a sign of praying always in thanksgiving. And then finally is supplication, is asking, or intercessory prayers sometimes, is praying on behalf of others, and whether it be for those living, for grace for them, for the souls in purgatory, for the church, for the intentions of the Holy Father, for your church, for a specific issue, just asking God to help them. And so those are different types of prayer that 15 minutes can be spent in any one of these, maybe more one than the other, depending on your state in life. Again, one may come more naturally, but it's important to have a balance of all of these. If you're just praying in contrition, it's not necessarily, you're too focused maybe on yourself.
Yeah.
If you're just praying in adoration, you may not be focused necessarily on your own faults or on others. So it's important to get somewhat of balance. It doesn't mean every day you're like, all right, at 15 minutes, I'm going to spend 3 minutes in each, and then like 3 minutes in
Praying a rosary.
Yeah. So, but those are just important to keep in mind when we're talking about prayer.
So, I forget how we got there. How did we get there?
We were just talking about prayer. You were saying starting off your day, 15 minutes of prayers.
15 minutes a day.
consequence.
Yeah. So he says, out of justice for what you owe God, out of thanksgiving and out of your own helplessness, right? And so, yeah, there are plenty of ways that you could break down prayer. And you could, as John said it, break it down into the forms of adoration,
prayer, maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication, right? And so that's like, hey, these are 4 ways to pray. You could break it down into other ways of prayer, of like a mental prayer, or what is it?
Vocal or mental prayer.
Where like mental prayer is thinking things to yourself, and vocal prayer is saying them out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do written or spontaneous prayer, where the written prayer is sitting here and doing a rosary, right? That is all written prayer. Or spontaneous prayer of just sitting there and just being like, hey God, I feel totally helpless right now. I don't know exactly what to do. Like there's this girl that I really like, and I just don't know. I'd really like some guidance. I'd like some help. I'd like some graces that will aid me in this right now. Holy Spirit, come within me and fill me with the graces that and just making things up about something that, or even just sitting there and being like, God, and I give you thanks for all the wonderful things that you've done for me. And, I just really ask that you help my friend on the test that he's going to take. And just sit there and just blurb at God.
Yeah. Talk. It's a relationship.
It's a conversation. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a conversation, as you said. It's a dialogue.
Right.
I think we fall into 2 pitfalls that we classically, I'll mention Aristotle again because I'm reading it. We fall into 2 extremes where the good virtue is in the middle. Is we either tend toward one extreme where we're always talking. Prayer is just basically like me yapping. I go to the chapel. I yap to God about what I'm feeling.
And then when you're done yapping, you leave. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one extreme. And the other extreme is just, okay, I got to listen for God. Got to listen to whatever he's saying. Like, just listening. And so prayer as a dialogue is a balance of both, that it is meant to be us talking with God. So that means there's an important, and we can get into this a little more later in the episode, is an important thing is silence. It's a really important thing. I don't think, especially in modern society, we don't have enough of this. To listen for God, to look back and reflect on your day, or look back and reflect on what God has done for you and listen for him, or read scripture and reflect and listen. Yeah. But at the same time, God wants us to talk with him. God is not just yapping at us.
Right.
It's a
God hardly ever yaps.
Yeah.
Ever. Forget yaps. God hardly ever speaks clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
But yeah, it's a dialogue back in you and God.
You pointed out some pitfalls. I want to point out while we're here just some other pitfalls about prayer that you can fall into. The first one is pretending that a monologue is prayer. Or pretending, we'll start with that one. Pretending that a monologue is prayer, where you will walk in, you will say what's on your mind. You'll walk into a chapel, you'll sit down, you'll genuflect, bless yourself with holy water, sit down, sit there, bend over, say things at the tabernacle for 10 minutes, And as soon as you're done, get up and leave. And while that's not bad, that can be very good. It's missing something, right? It's missing that listening part. And so a monologue is not prayer, because you need to listen, and you need to not just talk at Jesus, right? Jesus is not, how do you describe it? You know what I'm looking for here. The therapist.
So he's not. There's Father Mike has a thing on this. There was a study done where it's like, he's the
Benevolent.
yeah. I forget. There's a term for it though. Like he's just, whenever I need something, I go and talk to him.
Yeah, he's just a therapist for it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing, is that like, we do not, I was going to say God does not exist for, but that's not how I should phrase it. Our prayer life does not exist for us to go say things at God and hope he hears us. Right? Because he will always hear us, and he will always answer you if you are so inclined to hear what he has to say. And that monologue is totally shut off to hearing what God has to say. The next one is making up your mind before you go to prayer and blaming your bad decisions on prayer, which comes down to like, maybe you've been praying about something for a while, and then you make up your mind about this thing, or maybe you haven't been praying about something at all. Most of the time it happens with something that you haven't been praying about at all, or haven't been praying in depth enough with. And so you don't really know what to do, but you know you have to make a decision. So what you do is just one kind of, pun fully intended, one final Hail Mary, where you chuck the ball as deep as you can, right? And right before you have to make this decision, you walk in and you're like, all right, God, look, this is what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to go apply for that job. And if I'm not supposed to apply for that job, strike me down with a bolt of lightning as soon as I leave. And you walk out of the chapel after spending about 30 minutes in there, or 30 seconds in there, right? You walk in, you say this one thing that, like, you're not really asking God. You're just saying, I'm going to do this thing, God. Tell me if it's the wrong thing. And you have not been listening ever. But by the time you finally made up your mind, you're just like, I feel rushed. I need to make this decision. God, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to go do it now. And then you go do the thing, and really bad things happen. And you're like, but it was God's will. I prayed about it. Or you just make up these excuses about, I prayed about it. I asked God about it. I prayed about it so much, when all of your prayers were ever like, this is what I want to do. No, this is what I want to do. No, this is what I know I have the option, but this is what I want to do. Okay, God, this is what I'm going to do. I hope it's the right thing. And if it's not the right thing, you need to tell me right now. And sometimes God is like, nah. And he doesn't tell you. And then you go and you make a fool of yourself.
Well, I think one of the things is, many times he's trying to speak to us, but what you're saying there is like being open and listening, is saying not, there's a ways in, like, there's definitely ways in which you could be like, I'm going to read the Bible, but I'm going to read the verse that speaks to already what I'm listening to, as opposed to maybe just like reading the daily gospel of what the church has given us as a rhythm to pray with.
Right.
And it's I've given this as a classic critique of some philosophers, is like, man, you're putting in from the beginning what you want to get out at the end. You're plugging into the way that the method that you're doing things as the way that you want to get out. So if you're like, man, well, I'm just going to pray a rosary a day, but I'm not going to actually listen while I pray the rosary. I'm not going to reflect or meditate. Which, if it doesn't always work out that way with the rosary, that's fine. But if you're intentionally kind of like blocking it out and only doing like, oh, I'm always going to meditate on this thing, and this is what I'm going to do, and not maybe listening to the pull or the call of God.
Or you're just speedrunning the rosary to get it done.
Yeah.
Anyway, this leads me to my third mistake. So the first mistake is that monologues aren't good. The second one is that making up your mind and blaming it on God once what you want doesn't happen isn't good. The third one is thinking your prayer isn't good enough. Because we all come from various spots in life, right? I am a single Catholic male in college. If you point at someone else around here, he might be a married Catholic male in college. And you point at someone else, he might be a married Catholic male with 2 kids, not in college. And you point at someone else, and that's a woman, right? That's not even a male. That's a married Catholic woman with 6 kids, not in college. And she's like 50-something years old, and all of her kids are grown up, and 2 of them have fallen away from the faith. Right? And so this idea that like, I'm looking at this 50-year-old woman, and I want to have her prayer life. I can't pray like her, so my prayers aren't good enough. Dude, you're like a 6-month-old Catholic. You were just confirmed last Easter. Chill out. And so I think this is another one of these legitimate problems. I think the last one that I mentioned about going into the chapel and blaming it on God once you make your bad decision is something I see literally all the time, and it is one of the worst things you can do. Because you've made up your mind about something, probably without the help of a priest, friends, or actually praying about it. And because you know the right thing to do is pray about it, you heave one last prayer up there, hoping you get a response. You don't get a response. You do the thing, and then you have the excuse that I prayed about it to back you up. Anyway, I digress. I hate it when people, I really do hate it when people do that. I think it's a terrible thing. Anyway, so pretending your prayers aren't good enough is that, like, maybe your prayers aren't good enough because you're not trying hard enough, and you're not, right, you're capable of doing so much more than what your prayer life is at right now, only because you're not trying right now and not because you have the capacity to do more, right? If I pray for 0 minutes a day, I could do so much better than that, because 2 minutes is so much better than 0 minutes. And if I only have the capacity to pray for 2 minutes a day, getting those 2 minutes in is so much better than getting 0 minutes in. Now, hopefully I have the capacity of more than 2 minutes. I'd like to think I have the capacity of more than 2 minutes per day. And so it's a sort of thing about, like, recognizing where your prayer life is at. And this is something I'd warned about in last episode, which we conveniently just recorded, so it's fresh on my mind, is that, like, the more you look into the spiritual life, I think the more it leads you away from spiritual life, because you will be now just comparing yourself to levels of the spiritual life.
Make it into a video game.
Right. Yeah. No, literally an XP ladder of, like, well, I've now successfully completed vocal prayer. I can move on to mental prayer. I've now successfly completed mental prayer. I can now move on to this next thing. Now, to be quite frank, most people will probably not pass mental prayer. But again, see previous comment about not trying hard enough. And that's probably why, not because they're incapable of, but because they don't do it. And they don't. Right, like, some of the saints who have reached, like, the highest levels of prayer are that's unattainable for a lot of us. In college, like, when we did Exodus 90 a few years ago, I hated it. Why? Because it's not a sustainable solution for college kids. It's just not something college kids should be doing. Yes, I'm saying this. If you are under the age of 21 and not in the seminary, you should not be doing Exodus 90. Clip it, put it up there. I'm saying that. Ex Ille Cathedra. But yeah, that's the thing, is that, like, prayer life looks different for everyone. And so, sure, actually, let me use this example. My freshman year of college, I did Exodus 90. That was a terrible thing for me to do. It was not what I needed in my life, right? I was already struggling with college because I started taking 25% more credits my second semester than I did my first semester. It was very intense. Not only was it very intense, but, like, the seniors who were doing it were not harassing the freshmen, but were, like, not helping the freshmen get through it. And it was very much like, come on, you wimps, you can do better than that. And it wasn't my experience. It wasn't very fraternal. And a number of other things, right? It was a little too much to ask of me, right? To do a holy hour literally every single day, to take cold showers literally every single day. I got a little under the weather halfway through Exodus, and taking cold showers was something that I felt was not a smart thing for me to do. When it was 16 degrees outside, I was feeling sick. I wasn't sick, but I was feeling sick. And I'm taking a cold shower. No, I'm not doing that. And so that's the sort of thing about looking back on it. It's like, it's not that my prayer wasn't good enough, but it's that I was sitting there thinking, my prayer isn't good enough. I can do Exodus 90, and I couldn't. I was trying too much, and it sent me spiraling. It just sent me out of control, into, like, not desolation, but just a very weird place of, like, I felt as if I couldn't see God in my life in the ways that I wanted to. So I had to find him the ways that I was supposed to, which took a little while to get there. But I had to readjust myself. And so this idea that, like, your prayers aren't good enough just takes a little bit of self-reflection. You know what it takes? It takes shutting up and listening a little bit. Notice how all of these go back to the fact that, like, it's listening. Prayer is a conversation. And it is so important to have the actual con in conversation that isn't, well, the co in conversation. and it's not just mono, it is dialogue. It's not monologue.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, very important thing to have.
Yeah, and so, and I mean, a couple of the points that you brought up that I really liked is, firstly, what you were saying is what it takes is also humility, is knowing yourself, that knowing you are at a certain stage in your journey, and that doesn't mean that you can't grow. It doesn't mean that you can't like love God at where you're at, but knowing and understanding both your situation of where you're at in your life, what your state in life is, a lot of those things. And there's a quote I love from St. Francis de Sales, which I'll just like paraphrase here. It's like, have patience with everyone, but first of all with yourself. Like, be patient with yourself, that it doesn't take one retreat and you come back and everything in your life has changed.
Yeah.
Like, no, most of the time it seems like God works in steady pace over our life, that we grow and we experience over time the grace of God, not this like, man, boom. There are stories of like, boom, change, but it's like most of the stuff is like, all right, I'm going to increase it by like 2 minutes a day. And it's like, that's not grand. It's not this grand, amazing thing that I'm doing. And actually that's beautiful, because you don't become prideful in the work that you're doing.
Right.
You're just giving your little gift to God, your 5 loaves and 2 fish. I love that metaphor of like, you just give your 5 loaves and 2 fish. But then one of the things that a priest recommended to me at one point too is, if you're feeling like, man, I wish I prayed more, I wish I had the capability to pray more, is that's a good desire, and ask God for that. It's not just about your discipline. It's not like you're going to walk into the chapel and it's like, man, I'm just going to be so self-disciplined that I'm going to sit here for an hour, because then it all just becomes a focus on you, as opposed to asking God for the grace. Like, give me the grace to pray well, because I'm convinced, and this will be my mic moment, like clipping and said, that the saints weren't these great pinnacles of like stoic, like discipline. They just fell so deeply in love with someone that, yeah, like they wanted to go to the chapel, and sometimes it sucked, but they loved, and like they fell deeply in love, and that's what drove them to pray. And then finally, the last point that I just make that you mentioned is like, yeah, be aware of your state in life. If you're a college student that has a bunch of work, if you're a high school student that's doing multiple clubs and sports and stuff, like there's another quote that I've heard, I can't remember the saint, that it's like, if all you have is 10 minutes, that is a beautiful thing. The parable that Jesus gives about the young men who have tons of money, who give all this money to the temple, but then there's there's the widow who has two pennies, and that's all she gives. It's just like your time. If all you have is 2 minutes and that's all you have, that gift is good. And so it's like, be aware of your state in life. And there's a pitfall that I see a lot in college that I know I've fallen into too. That is like, man, I don't want to go to my classes, but I could go and pray, and that's better, and it's justified because I'm praying. It's like, no, when St. Paul tells us to pray always, like your work in fulfilling your state in life becomes a prayer. Now, I'm not saying that means like you can get away with it. And it's like, I go to my classes so I don't have to pray. Like, no, we still need time in silence. We still need time away. But like, there are some times where you're giving more glory to God just by living out your state in life, by being a student, by being a good student, by not rushing through all your assignments and making the excuse that I got to go to adoration.
Yeah.
That like living out your state in life becomes your prayer. Living out your vocation is a prayer. Again, I'll reemphasize, please continue to have silence. Like, in order to live your state in life well, you need to spend time with God. You need to be nourished by God. But don't cheat yourself out of your prayer time with God in the work that you're doing.
Yeah. And what's the other quote about, like, the person who can only spend 30 minutes in adoration probably needs 1 hour.
Yeah, it's, I believe that might be St. Francis de Sales. It's like, yeah, every day I pray for 30 minutes, but in the days where I don't have 30 minutes to give, like I need an hour, or like I give an hour because I need it or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So going back through these three, it's, first of all, monologues are not good.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, making bad decisions and blaming them on God are not good. Third, pretending your prayer is not enough is not, and it's this idea that pretending your prayer is not enough is not good. Knowing that your prayer is not where it could be and fixing that is something different than seeing your prayer and
being scrupulous about it.
Yeah. It's the difference between like, I know my prayer can be better, so I'm going to strive to make it better, compared to actually doing very well and being like, it's not good enough, I need more.
False humility.
More. Yeah. Performative humility, dare I say. And then I think the fourth one that I have is this idea that praying more inherently makes you better at it, which is not true. Because just like, and actually Father Joachim made this point during his homily today. He was like, sometimes you need to practice praying, right? The same way that you play an instrument, I play an instrument. How many hours of your life did you spend practicing the guitar?
Yeah, a number. Yeah.
Thousands of hours. And I play piano, and I spent billions of hours. Right. No, I also spent thousands of hours practicing my piano, and honing my skills and, pun intended, like tuning my skill set to be as good as it could. And that's the idea that, like, by going to Mass every single day, I will get better at going to Mass. No, that's not true. Because if I sit at a piano and I just go
Bang on the keys.
I'm playing I guess you're not really playing the piano. You're using the piano, but you're not playing the piano. But even if I sit down and let's say that I'm like a level 7 in the sight reading category, and I sit down and I sight read level 1 music over and over and over and over and over again, it will never move me past level 7. And so it's the same way with Mass, that like, if you sit down and you just keep doing the same prayers over and over and over and over, and you never try for anything more, you're never going to advance farther. And so going to Mass every single day is a good thing. It's a very good thing if you strive to make it a good thing, right? If you strive to go to Mass to receive the Eucharist and to reflect on what that means, and to truly invite Jesus into your body and invite the graces that flow forth from this sacrament into yourself. That's a very good thing. If you're going to Mass for the vending machine for Jesus, whatever, you're not really doing anything for yourself. You're probably actively harming yourself.
You're not allowing yourself to be changed. That's the same thing of listening for God's voice. You're not allowing God to take a place in your life. You're saying like, oh, Jesus, you can take this small little corner of my life, but not allowing him to actually be the king of your life.
This thing that I've turned into a habit, not for my own good, but so that I can check a box. So that I can say, I went to Mass today. I prayed a rosary today. I prayed the Liturgy of the Hours today, not out of my own personal desire to do it, but of my own personal desire to check off that box.
Conscience soothing. It's just like soothing your conscience. Yeah. It's the same thing. This can also be, confession can be used this way too.
I did the bare minimum today.
Yeah, right. Confession can be used this way too, of like, oh, I feel bad. I don't want to feel bad. It's like, it's not necessarily about the feeling. You feel bad for a reason, and it's good, like being contrite for your sins, but it's not just to scratch an itch. Like, I just need to.
But you need to actively be sorry for your sins and try to fix them too, right? Like, if you aren't truly sorry and don't plan to fix your sins, your confession can be called into question. And it might, right? There was a time where I remember I went to a confessor 2 weeks in a row and confessed the same thing. And the second week in a row I went, the priest was like, you said that last week. Are you sure you're actually sorry for it? And I was like, yes, Father, I am. And he was like, okay. I go back 2 weeks later and I say the same thing. And he's like, I don't think you're sorry for it. And I was like, what? And he was like, I don't think you're sorry for it. And I was like, this is a weird thing to say to a 17-year-old. And actually, I think it was like 14 or something like that. It was like, Father, I'm like 14. And he was like, I don't think you're sorry for it. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you're going to fix it. I don't want to see you back here with that sin for a month. And I was like, what? And he was like, look, I'll help you. Look, I'll give you absolution because I think you're truly contrite. I think you are genuinely sorry for it, but you need to fix it. And I don't know how much you're trying to fix it. So I'll give you absolution. You know, it's the ministry of the church. I absolve your sins and the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Cool. And then after confession was over, he was like, hey, dude, I heard from somewhere that, you know, maybe you'd be dealing with something like this. Can I help you in any way? And I was like, what? And so it was very funny because he wasn't breaking the seal of the confession. Like I very oversimplified that conversation. but like he wasn't breaking the seal of the confessional, because a priest can't even mention your own sins to you
Yep.
outside of the confession unless you give them permission to do so.
Mhm.
Not in like, you can't sit there in the confessional and be like, in confession, oh Father, I want to talk to you about this outside of confession. You can outside of confession say, Father, I'd like to talk to you about this, then confess it, and then outside of confession, because you've already told it to the priest.
Mhm.
It's like a priest. Don't freak out about confession, guys. A priest cannot talk to you about your sins unless you want him to.
Mhm.
And so he did do it. Like, he didn't break the seal of confession. Don't worry, guys. He was like, I don't think you're truly trying to fix it, so I'm gonna help you try to fix it. I was like, oh, okay. Once again, a kind of weird thing to say to a 14-year-old, because are 14-year-olds ever really contrite for any of their sins? Like, they think they're right all the time. So I was one of them. I still am right all the time, conveniently. Basically a 14-year-old. And so, yeah, but that was something that was like very, it kind of hit me at that point. And so, and that's the thing, is that like, oh, he goes to mass every day. It's like, yeah, but I don't know if he believes it. Not to sit here and judge people. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But like, oh yeah, he prays a rosary every day. It's like, does he say the words, or does he actually mean the prayers? Right? Oh, he does liturgy the hours every night. That's cool. Does he actually pay attention to what he's saying? And so I started off this episode by saying we're going to talk about consistent prayer. And so that's what I want to talk about. I think we've just spent 40 minutes discussing things to avoid. But how do you find consistent prayer that you actually need, and that you actually want and desire and are contrite about?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, is I think it's always good to have an anchor, something that no matter what, how you're feeling, you do. And for me, that's daily mass at college. It's no matter how I'm feeling, I try every day to go. And for the most part, I make it. Some days things come.
Yeah, today you didn't. I had to sing by myself up there.
I'm sorry, Matthew. I got caught up in something. I try to make it to daily mass every day. And on the days that I don't, there is something I will do instead. Because the thing is, having an anchor, a backbone from which you can work and grow is important, because as Matthew said, we should be praying every day. It's not something we do when we feel like it, but it's something we do consistently, so that our life is permeated by God, permeated by our connection to him. And so the first thing I'd recommend is have something, even if it starts out just as like 10 minutes a day. I'm just
a morning offering.
A morning offering. I'm gonna split it up over like 10 minutes into 5 sets of 2 minutes, like because you can't sit in the chapel for that long. That's fine. Start off somewhere and give yourself something that you say, okay, I'm going to set out and do this. Now, I'll add one caveat to that. There's a quote from St. Louis de Montfort that I always love. Is like, and there are other saints who say this too: do one thing well. Don't get caught up of like, I want to fix my prayer life, so I'm going to do a million different types of prayer.
I'm going to go to mass and do liturgy the hours and pray a rosary every day and make sure I'm singing in the choir. And
because you firstly, most of the time, you don't really focus on any of them because you're so focused on every one of them. Is like, just have one thing that you do and focus on doing that well. And because even though, as Matthew mentioned, sometimes over time we can sometimes get worn down in the way that we focus on things, but it takes practice. As he said, like, you're not going to go to mass for 1 week and then be like, oh, I can pray the mass so much better. It's like, none of us will ever figure out the mass, but I digress. Is like, it takes devotion. Our faith is a faith of constancy, of faithfulness to these things. And so having some backbone that you work from is like, okay, 10 minutes of prayer a day. I read the Bible. Like, I read the daily gospel, and that's what I'll do. Have something that every day that's what you're going to do. And on days that you can't do it, come up quickly, like have that be in your mind of, if I can't do this, then I will still do something. Because I know there have been plenty of times where I've gotten to the end of the day and I'm laying down to bed and I go, crap, I didn't pray today. And that is on me. I did not keep God in mind throughout the day. And that is one of the important things that structured prayer does, is having a set thing that you're going to do keeps God in mind. It makes God the thing that structures your day, that orders your day. And so I'd really recommend that, is have some, to start off at the very least, to have some plan that you say every day, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to go do this. because whether it be Liturgy of the Hours, whether it be Mass, whether it be a rosary, whether it be reading the Bible, whether it be just 5 minutes of silent prayer with God, all of these are ways that they give us a consistency to our relationship with God, so that we're not just popping in, crap, I need something, let me go pray to God. Like, I bet there are a number of people, I'd have to ask the priest here, but like the amount of people who go to confession mass on finals week, I wonder if it shoots up of like, oh, I need something, I'm going to go talk to God.
That would be pretty funny.
But yeah, like it makes your relationship with God not just about how you feel or what you need. It makes it about a true relationship, because your closest friends are those who you interact with regularly. If I'm not going to be a good friend to someone because I don't talk with them, how is it also with God, who's supposed to be the one ordering and structuring my life?
So, talking about doing prayer every single day, another ad read for you. Today's episode is brought to you once again by me. Another anonymous sponsor has asked me to endorse this. The Scientifica app. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, you know what Hallow is, right?
Yes.
You know what the Divine Office is.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, what iBreviary is.
iBreviary,
right?
yeah.
You know what the Bible app is, right? And what if you combined all of those into one? That's what the Scientifica app is. So the Scientifica app is the #1 traditional Catholic app on the App Store. It's everything you need for the Catholic life. Comprehensive tools to deepen your faith and stay connected to tradition. Make your soul your #1 priority by discovering daily saints, feast days, and liturgical content tailored to the traditional Catholic calendar. Track your progress. You can build consistency with streak tracking for novenas, rosaries, and other daily devotions. You can find Mass, never miss the rosary, pray the Divine Office, complete your novenas. It's really simple. Download it now, available on iOS and Android. Discover your daily content, build your daily spiritual routine with, guess who, Butler's Lives of the Saints, the liturgical year, the Roman Martyrology, rosaries, prayers, powerful novenas, and then you can track your progress from there. I've used Sanctifica, and not regularly, but I have it installed on my phone, and I'm constantly in there. It's very great, very traditional, a very good resource. I love it a lot, and I'm happy to be sharing it with you guys today. I highly recommend it personally, and then also, being asked to share it with you guys. Great app, and for developing your prayer life and trying to stay out of that spiritual dryness, awesome, because it has so many different things for you to find, whether that's the rosary or reflection of the daily reflections on the saints, or just other prayers, the Divine Office, which is, beautiful set of prayers. Guess how many hours there are in the Divine Office? There's like 9 or something like that. 7. There's 7. 6, 7. I'm sorry.
How many hours can you name?
Every day we stray farther and farther away from God. Actually, I think I can name all of them. So you have Lauds, Compline, Vespers, Tertiae, Sextae, Nonae, and shoot. So Lauds, Tertiae, Sextae, Nonae, Vespers, Compline, and I'm missing the mid-afternoon prayer, aren't I? Is it midday prayer? Which one am I missing? Vespers, Compline.
You've got
Matins is one I'm missing. There we go. Yeah. Sorry, I can't name all of them. So it's night prayer, evening prayer, morning prayer, midnight prayer, and then 3rd hour, 6th hour, 9th hour.
Yeah. Midnight prayer is generally the office of readings now.
Yes, yeah. So I can. How about that? I'm impressed with myself.
There you go.
And did it all in Latin to brush my shoulders. Anyway, so Sanctifica, great app. Highly recommend it. And that's the app that we're bringing to you guys today. Little sponsorship that we have. Sanctifica, let me be clear, Sanctifica does not sponsor us. This is me endorsing Sanctifica through someone else who is asking us to do this. So that being said, go download Sanctifica. It'll be great for helping you guys with prayer life, especially if you're struggling with that right now.
And just give you different ways, resources, things you might not have heard of. Like, I know plenty of people who really love the Liturgy of the Hours who had never heard of it before or not know what it is. And so it's always great to learn about these things that the church has and teaches that you just haven't run into.
The number of times that I heard about the Liturgy of the Hours before getting to college and had never prayed it, and then got to college and just started praying it. It's so awesome. I recommend starting with night prayer or morning prayer. Either the first thing you do or the last thing you do. Find a place in your house, especially for teenagers, your house or your dorm, that isn't right next to your bed. And every single night, pray Compline night prayer, completorium, meaning the completion of the day. It's the final liturgical act of the day. Pray Compline there. And leave your phone there so you're not taking it with you to bed.
Yeah.
And then that way, when you wake up in the morning and want to go pray matins, you need to get out of your bed to go get your phone.
Yeah.
So it's I would highly recommend that. I really liked what you had said about the anchor, with like this one thing that you need to do every day in your life that sort of holds fast, right?
Mhm.
When the storm comes, is your house built on the sand or is it built on the rock? What is that rock underneath of you? And sometimes it can be hard to find that. And so what I think you need to do is you need to find something that you will genuinely fall in love with. You find something and you go, whoa, this is awesome. And now, of course, Mass is, I mean, as officially ascribed by the church, the number one prayer that you can do, right? The highest, the best form of worship. And you should be falling in love with Mass every single day of your life. And you should be going to Mass falling in love with Jesus. But I get it that maybe Mass doesn't fit into your schedule. So then what's the next thing you fall in love with? Maybe you fall in love with the Rosary. You're like, every day I get to meditate on different mysteries. And every day it draws me closer to Mary, it draws me closer to God all the time.
Someone called it once, I heard this recently, Bible on a string.
Bible on a string. I like that. The Gospels on a string.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Maybe you fall in love with the Liturgy of the Hours because of it's structured. It keeps you up or sends you to bed or something like that. It keeps you aligned throughout the day.
Prayer with Scripture.
Find something to fall in love with so that every single day you actively want to chase it. And it's not something you're just checking off your box, right? Nobody gets married so they can check it off their bucket list, right? They get married because they fall in love with someone. It's the same thing you want to do. You want to fall in love with this prayer that will hold you fast. Next question that I'm asking for you because I don't actually know the answer to this. Walking around with earbuds in, you've got Catholic music playing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count as, like, I know it counts as, but like, I really don't. You know what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm asking. You know what I'm asking.
Yeah, I get somewhat of what you're asking. This is the advice I'd give. Firstly, everything can be made into a prayer. Listening to even secular music in a correct disposition could be made into a prayer.
This is not a TCP endorsement of listening to secular music.
Yes.
This is saying it's a possibility.
There are certain secular things that I would say probably you shouldn't pray with if it's like
Lil Nas X.
Yeah, like a bunch of swearing and stuff like
Kanye.
that. But there are genuinely secular songs that are very much an expression of the human cry for God.
Yeah.
And so I'm
like, for instance, Jesus Take the Wheel, or perhaps even Only the Good Die Young. Don't listen to Only the Good Die Young. Extremely blasphemous song.
But yeah, so there are ways, even with like non-directly Catholic music, that are expressions that you could pray with. But I would say that, especially in our culture, more than any, is we are constantly consuming. I mean, even you're listening to this. This is consumption. You're consuming something.
We've become the very thing we
sort of destroy. There's time that you can take to just listen. And not be consuming something, just not be putting in whatever you've chosen, but actually to listen. Because even if you're listening to this podcast, you're listening to something you chose. Hey, who knows? Maybe it just came out of random. But the point,
maybe someone you were supposed to visit a cemetery with last week shared this.
Yep. But I would say that there's an opportunity to have silence that we don't have enough of. And so I keep mentioning stuff from Aristotle. There's one thing that he mentions of like, if a stick is bent and you want to make it straight, you have to bend it further back the other direction. So basically what he's saying is if you're struggling with a vice in one direction, like, if you're too falsely humble, you have to bend it more back towards pride to fix it straight. That's not endorsing sin, but it's like, hey, to fix things, you have to try to go the other direction.
Right.
You don't try and hold it straight, the perfect balance. You actually go further behind. And I would say in modern society, we have so much noise. There is need for silence.
Go to Latin. Whoa, did I say that? Yes, I did.
Yep. So I would say, why would we pass up an opportunity for silence? For something that we don't get enough of. Yeah. So I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying there are definitely great times to listen to Catholic music, walk around listening to chant, or walk around listening to
Renaissance. Dude, Palestrina, Grossi, Rossini. Oh, they really knew what they were doing.
Yeah. But yeah, take some time for silence. We don't have enough of that. And so I would say you can pray walking around listening to music, but I know we can all tell based on our conscience. whether you are saying, oh yeah, that counted as prayer today, I don't need to pray, versus, oh, I'm going to offer this up as an opportunity to pray. I will leave that up to your own consciences, but is what you're saying, oh, is this prayer, are you using it as an excuse, or are you using it because you are truly seeking God?
Yeah. I think honestly a future episode that we should do is just going through a list of prayers. Just great things to use for a prayer life. So first thing, get the Sanctifica app. Or another similar app like iBreviary or Hallow or something like that. I happened to endorse Sanctifica today because I love it and it's great, and was told to do that one. There's so many great ways you could go with friends. Find someone good that you find, like dudes, find a good dude to sit down and pray with. Chicks, find some other good chicks to sit down and pray with. Make fun of me for saying dudes and chicks instead of boys and girls or ladies and gentlemen or something. I don't know.
JDs and Lettleman.
JDs and Lettleman of the Teenage Catholic Podcast. But seriously, you want to find something to anchor yourself, find something to fall in love with. And that can be your baseline. Maybe it's 10 minutes a day. Maybe it's 15 minutes a day. Maybe it's an hour a day that you're spending, right? You just happened to, maybe a holy hour is the way that you spend an hour of your day and you just love that. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's go back to problem number 2.
Which one?
3? You're going back to problem number 3. Pretending your prayer isn't good enough.
3.
It's not about what you think your prayer life should look like. It's about what you know your prayer life can be right now.
Or what God's asking you to offer.
Yeah, and it looks different for everyone. And so maybe like John and I have vastly different prayer lives. Well, maybe we don't have vastly different prayer lives, but like John is in a different situation than I am right now. We're not praying about the same things. And so I will go to God right now and ask for things that are very different than what than what John is asking for. And I will go to God and thank him for very different things than what John is thanking him for. And so like we can sit here and say these things at each other, but even our prayer lives look very different, right?
Yeah.
You go to daily mass every single day. I don't every single day. That's something I should probably work on. I have the time. It's crazy. College is so busy. But I haven't had the chance to for the past 3 semesters, basically. But next semester, though, I could be there. And I'm not just saying that, but like seriously, like our prayer lives are different, and so we can sit here and say these things, but like even individually, we have different prayer lives from each other, and so it's again, it's not about what you think your prayer life should look like. It's about what you know your prayer life can be, and so I think that sort of dryness and emptiness can come naturally because maybe you're not trying hard enough, or maybe you do need a break and you just need to switch it up, right? Maybe you feel a little empty going to mass every single day, which is weird because you're receiving Jesus. But like maybe you need to go switch it up and go pray liturgy 80 hours. Maybe you need to go start praying a rosary. Maybe you feel as if you're praying, you're just saying the rosary, not praying the rosary, and you need to start doing liturgy 80 hours or something like that. Switching it up, probably one of the best things you could do, right? So with that being said, you got anything else?
Yeah, I just had a few final comments. One thing is, I said this last time, we are part of a community, a part of the community of the church. If you can't figure stuff out, go ask a priest. Ask a priest. They'll have a recommendation for you about what to pray. I say this all the time. Matthew says it too. Ask a priest. Or have others help you be accountable. Like you said, find someone who you'll pray with. Have someone to keep you accountable. And then just the one thing you did mention, of course, as Matthew said, sometimes, yes, switch it up. But also you don't want to fall into the pitfall of switching up all the time, of not settling in anything. Have some anchor. Even when you're switching it up, have something that remains stable. We don't want to just constantly be like, oh, whatever the new thing is, I got to go try this new devotion or whatever. Like there is a beauty in being balancing both the switching it up some, but then also being faithful, having fidelity.
Touche. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I think that I need to go do homework.
Yep.
That's what I think.
Hey, you got it done before the time you mentioned that
Sure.
you get it done.
Sure, I got 15 minutes before it's that time. So Jadis and Lowen, thank you for tuning in. Go download the Sanctifica app. And we'll see you next time. Dude, we need DJ Israel on here.
Do those YouTube things.
Oh, I forgot about the YouTube things. You're right. Good pull, John. This is the point of the episode where I tell you to do the YouTube things. What are the YouTube things, John? Hit them.
Like,
Bang.
Subscribe.
Bang. Parts of Electric Boogaloo.
A call into the show, or is that?
I don't know. We're not giving away my phone number right now. You can actually send us an email at teenagecatholicpodcast@gmail.com. I think is that email.
Please send requests of stuff we should do.
Yeah, it's teenagecatholicpodcast@gmail.com. Leave a comment. Let us know if you want to hear something that you want to hear John and me yapping about for an hour. Leave a comment. I mean, John and I don't think we're particularly more intelligent than anybody else our age. We just happen to be better at talking about it, I think, than a lot of other people. And we found we're the only ones doing it. I was listening to a Matt Fradd episode the other day, and he was talking about something. Was it dating? Is that what I said at dinner?
Yeah, you said it.
I was just like, dude, this is great for like the 27-year-olds. This is a 17-year-old is going to find no use in this whatsoever. So we'll get there. The dating episode will happen. But we're working on it. I think that should be either Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll probably get that. Probably Christmas. I'll probably have that done. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Send this to your prayer group.
Yeah. Send to the person who gave you your favorite rosary.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, send this to the priest who said daily mass that you're about to go to tomorrow.
Yeah. And he can tell us about all the errors we made in this.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate any and all support you guys give us, and we look forward to seeing you all next week when inevitably I probably don't delete the files.
Hopefully.
With all that being said, Pax Vobiscum, and we'll see you.
Shout out St. Maximilian Kolbe. Confirmation Saint.
Oh, shut up. And Pope St. Gregory the Great. Woo! All right. We need DJ Israel, bro. We need an outro.
All right.
See. Bye.
Bye.
Let us build a house where we can dwell.